Right, let me just check to make sure everything is good. What do you think happens when you pass away? See, I knew in my head that religion was never for me. I just knew. I got caught up in the language like say no God or thank God or oh my goodness, oh my godness. And that's because that's part of the language. That's part of the language in the world that we live in. And so I knew there was a deeper meaning to, I don't say deeper. I knew there was a logical explanation for why things happen, why people do what they do, why we believe what we believe, where do you go when you die. You think about like karma or nirvana or all the different religions like the Buddhism and Christianity and Judaism and even the Quran, which I haven't studied too much of the Islamic religion. But they all have their versions of like heaven and hell and all that stuff. When you think about it, you are in hell right now. If you have an open system, you're in hell because you have to keep adapting and converting energy whenever there's a change, whenever there's a disturbance in the force. Okay? So you hear people's stories about, whoa, when I pass away, do that final energy transfer, I'm going to go to like Pleiades and Sirius and Andromeda and all these different planetary galaxies, whatever you see in all the stories that have replaced the Bible. If you didn't want to believe in Christianity or Judaism or even, Muslim, you're like, okay, well, I just believe in aliens and that, we have the Arcturians and we have the gray aliens and we have all these different aliens. So there was yet another religion developed on top of all the things that have already been developed. And so when you think about it, everything is about energy, thermodynamics, and I knew the reason. And when I found that website about open systems and closed systems, I posted just about last night. I'm like, holy shit! But I had to learn it the back way. If I were to just read that, I'd be like, okay, open system, closed system, thermodynamics, and that would just be like somebody giving you a piece of pie, but you don't know how it was made, you know where it came from. It's just a piece of pie. It tastes good and it looks good and, whatever story you want to talk about the pie, but you don't understand how that pie was developed. And so if I would have read that specific article or course or whatever that I found to substantiate everything that I'm talking about, I would not have figured out all the other laws of physics. And I probably wouldn't understand the laws of thermodynamics because that doesn't tell you, that article doesn't tell you everything. It just substantiates what I told you from the background that I gave you. And so then you would realize that, okay, now in this world, and how I see how I've behaved and how other people have behaved towards me and relationships and all that, then you see that we are always constantly trying to fight for our autonomy, fighting for our place in this world, fighting against people who are trying to take over in body, mind, and spirit, fighting forces that's its instinctual, nature when it is in entropy, is it's trying to find the piece that is missing. And when you don't even know why you're trying to find the piece that's missing, you're going to try to take everything and what do? Throw everything at the wall and see what sticks? That's what goes on in our society, is people are so missing. They're so they're not a whole person, that they're taking things from everybody, trying to fill in the gaps. And obviously it's not working. People are having issues and all that stuff. So I wrote that, when you think about it, ascension people, when you are possessed by another spirit called Cancer, that invading spirit will try to destroy you from the inside and send your spirit off into the further. Now I'm using that word, the further, because I came from Insidious, because there was a dichotomy between the living and the dead in that movie. And all these ghost shows are all about this thermodynamics and the split between the dead world and the alive world. And they're not that different, except the spirits are missing the body because they fucked up when they were alive with the body that they had, and now they're walking around as a spirit looking for things to possess. No different than people on this earth who are at a deficit looking for things to possess. So there's always going to be a fight between people, their microbial spirits. You know, when you're throwing out your mucus, that mucus is a spirit that now is part of you. Yes, now it's relieving you, and it's going to go find something else to go and take over. And so when you're around people and you're picking up everyone's spiritual markings or their viral operating systems, and it's now going in and commandeering you, you either merge with it and understand it and deal with it, or you try to destroy it, and then it becomes stronger and stronger. And that's what cancer is, when bodies are not reconciling with the energy that they pick up along the way, because they're in a closed system. This is where the open system, closed system, the spiritual world is directly directly connected to the scientific world, because it's about energy and about biology. And energy and biology and thermodynamics and physics and chemistry and all that all are one thing. And even religion, because religion found a way to make a story about it, just like I did. I just basically wrote what would be a tiny little page in a Bible if I would write a Bible. Okay? So when you think about it, ascension people, when you are, and I talk about the ascension people because they think that when they leave their body, they're going to go off to Andromeda or Sirius or Pleiades or whatever. Okay? So when you are possessed by another spirit called Cancer, the invading spirit will try to destroy you from the inside and send your spirit off into the further. And a Cancer spirit can not only just the microbes in your body trying to take over that are coming like in clumps in back of your throat and wherever, but there are also people out there that are trying to take over and take your resources. They're trying to possess you and commandeer your time 24/7. It's all the slavery out there when slave masters exploit their slaves. And so there's always people trying to exploit somebody else. And there's always microbes trying to exploit their position in the body. And that's why people feel the pain and all that stuff, because they're in a constant fight with the spirit trying to take over, and they're trying to keep their autonomy, and it's a fight to the death. And usually if you can't figure out what's going on, the spirit will win, because it will destroy you, because it couldn't have what it wanted. And you couldn't figure out how to assimilate to it. And that's why people die in our society, because they lost the fucking fight in the spiritual war called their microbes. And that's why they were in the hospitals trying to have the nurses and doctors try to stop that spirit from taking over, but they end up destroying themselves. Not the doctors and nurses destroying themselves, but the patient in the hospital ends up destroying themselves because they never figured out how to assimilate. They're always trying to resist, and they're always trying to squelch and destroy what was inside of them, when they should have found a way to assimilate and deal with their body and open up their system to release and bring in, but not close it off, and then have the medical system be like shooting fish in a barrel. Because that's kind of essentially what's going on here. I think about something for a second. All right. So you will be lost looking for, so here we go. So when you think about it, ascension people, when you are possessed by another spirit called Cancer, the invading spirit will try to destroy you from the inside and send your spirit off into the further. You'll be lost looking for another seed body to possess, inhabit, or grow in. And that's really what happens, is that you're not going off to freaking heaven or hell. You're in hell right now. What you'll be doing is you'll be looking for you'll find a way to steal something, steal a body, try to take over, and that's called Cancer. Or you'll earn your way and bring yourself back up from square one, like finding a spirit in a baby, and you have to grow up again. And you know what people do out there in society? They don't want to start from square one. They don't want to start from the bottom. They want to go get and get into a job that pays them $100,000 a year, instead of working as a janitor, and then working as a doorman, and then working as a whatever, and you work your way up the corporate ladder. No, people want to go and just be the freaking end all be all, and not earn their position up. And that's what a lot of these invading spirits, these Cancer spirits in adults, is that these are the evil spirits that want to go and take over someone's body, take over their life. And the person allowed it to happen because they kept resisting their environment. they kept trying to close their system off, use therapies against it, but then you're making the enemy in the body stronger because you're not reconciling with it. You're trying to fight it when it's in your body. You're fighting yourself. But yes, it's trying to take over, yes. And that's what disease is. It's trying to take over. But still, what do you do with disease? You feed it and you strengthen your body to cast out the fucking demons. Like, I sound like I'm some crazy spiritual person, but that's the only way I can explain what is going on in the physics level. And no wonder there's a billion Bibles out there. No wonder there's a billion spiritual people out there trying to explain physics, because physics, like, okay, it's energy transfer. When you think about it, it's just entertaining when you read about, physics. Thermodynamics refers to the study of energy and energy transfer involving physical matter. The matter and its environment relevant to a particular case of energy transfer are classified as a system, and everything outside of that system is called the surroundings. For instance, when heating a pot of water on the stove, the system includes the stove, the pot, and the water. Energy is transferred within the system between the stove, pot, and water. There are two types of systems, open and closed. An open system is one in which energy can be transferred between systems and its surroundings. The stovetop system is open because the heat can be lost into the air. A closed system is one that cannot transfer energy to its surroundings. So what happens is people close off their systems, and they're using therapies, and they're using all the things like the antibiotics and all that stuff, and they atrophy their first lines of defense, and they atrophy their asshole from taking Imodium. They close their fucking system off, and guess what happens? Entropy happens, because more chaos, because you're picking up people's microbes everywhere you go, regardless of therapeutic status, and it's basically eating you out from the inside, causing mutations, causing hormonal imbalances, causing behavioral problems, causing addiction, causing everything under the sun that requires the medical system to go in and play a nip and a tuck for 30 years, 40 years, until you can't handle any more of the fucking therapies. So biological organisms are open systems, but they are for a certain amount of time until they get into the medical holistic system and they start closing up their alimentary canal, because those are the two openings of your system, your mouth and your anus. And when those two are atrophied, then you're trapping all that shit inside of you, literally and figuratively. So biological organisms are open systems. Energy is exchanged between them and their surroundings. So they consume energy, storing molecules, and release energy to the environment by doing work. Like all things in the physical world, energy is subject to the laws of physics. The laws of thermodynamics govern the transfer of energy in and among all systems in the universe. Okay? So in studying energy, scientists use the term system to refer to the matter and its environment involved in energy transfers. Everything outside of the system is called surroundings. Single cells are biological systems. Systems can be thought of as having a certain amount of order. It takes energy to make a system more ordered. So if you are starving your fucking self and you're taking therapies and you're also taking all the antibiotics and you have food allergies, then you are causing chaos in your fucking body. Okay, so as a system, so anyways, hold on. So single cells are biological systems. Systems can be thought of as having a certain amount of order. It takes energy to make a system more ordered. The more ordered a system is, the lower its entropy. Entropy is measure of the disorder of a system. As a system becomes more disordered, the lower its energy and the higher its entropy become. And that is what's happening with those who are taking all the therapies, who are doing all the chemotherapy, radiation, cannabis, all that shit, starving themselves on the diets, starving their kids, afraid of the fucking food, taking all their pills, powder, supplements, and detoxes, listening to all the fucking activists. They are causing more entropy, and that's why you see people are breaking apart in our system. They are flipping the fuck out, and you don't want to be around someone who's supernovaing, because they will destroy you in the process. And that's why I pulled away from so many different people, because everyone's in some state of level of decline that you don't know when that time is going to happen, where there'll be one straw that breaks the camel's back and shit happens and you get caught in the crossfire. Okay? And so you have to understand that, your family and friends are the ones that are going to destroy you the most. But people don't want to see that, because that's what they've been raised with. It's their family, their friends, their religion, their associations, their politics, their religion, science. And that's who they are until their lifestyle destroys them. So that was the whole fucking article. But if I would have read this like 5 years ago, I would not have found everything that I found out. See, reading something like this, you're like, okay, that makes sense after I've given you all the details up to this point. Now this fucking makes sense to everything that I've read, because I had to read about Newton. I had to read about the inverse laws of this, and this. I had to learn about Einstein and the theory of relativity. I had to learn about shit, like the, panspermia and the steady state theory. I mean, you have to learn, and then thermodynamics and energy can't, they don't even give you the laws of thermodynamics. They just say, hey, open and close system. But you're not getting the laws of thermodynamics. You know what the laws of thermodynamics are? First, energy is, first is that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only converted. The second law is when you convert energy, you lose energy. The third law is that in a closed system, an entity cannot survive in a dynamic environment. Nothing was said in that article here, but then you see the bigger picture, but you have to know the fucking details. And people don't know the details behind what the fuck they do. They just do it because somebody in the medical system or the holistic system or in some professional with a license who's just regurgitating and following orders told them to fucking do it because they had a license, and you just didn't know what the hell, and it sounded good because the marketing was so fucking great. That's what pisses me off about the medical holistic system, is they get so many people who don't know how shit works from the most micro level, and they believe they believe the taglines, they believe all the paragraphs that sound good, that sound like it makes sense, and since you don't know any better, you're gonna believe whatever the fuck they write, right? And so I'm saying fuck up, because I get so mad at what we have been. What we've been given, why we have allowed people to revere those with degrees, because people with the degrees are not telling you everything, because they don't know everything, because they're so fucking compartmentalized. Let me tell you, I have talked to so many people who have degrees in either biology or in physics or in some like poli-sci, and they're like, no, it's not physics. The physics has nothing to do with biology. Like they had it compartmentalized. Maybe they took a biology class. But they never remembered that concept, that physics and thermodynamics has everything to do with biology. No, they've been so compartmentalized in the college system that you have so many different compartmentalized parts that are all working like in functional silos, and there's no cross communication between any of them because they're all into their individual fields, blinded by the big picture, but they're getting given a lot of money to go and destroy their friends and family, and they can't even hear new fucking information. And they call me fucking crazy, and they write articles about me. Oh, they have an MIT degree. Big fucking deal. It doesn't give you anything. You're dying, Miss Journalist over there. Yeah, you're an influencer on YouTube, and you don't have any degree in anything to even know the basics that salt is not a fucking spice. It's a mineral. It's an electrolyte. And so this is what I'm up against, is the ignorance and the intelligence of the educational system. And so when I have to go do my own work because you couldn't fucking do it yourself and couldn't give the people the information, then it pisses me off that I get the backlash and people call me crazy. But then now you see why I do what I do and why I'm so like passionate about proving my point, because there's too many people who think they know what the hell's going on, and they don't, and they're destroying not only themselves, but their friends and their family and their community. And I know we are in a great reset, and this is supposed to happen, but there's a certain amount of you that will get this. And that's who I'm talking to. Some of you will not fucking get this, and you know you won't, and I get it, and that's fine. You will do what you do because it makes money, and you don't want to change your lifestyle belief system. But really, who I'm talking to are the people that are in my religious crowd actually fucking doing this. And they're giving me updates every so often, and they're not blinded by money. They're not in their freaking unicorn and rainbows land, and they're not so tied to such social capital that's all over their community. That they are finally realizing what world they live in, and they want to goddamn live. And they want to be balanced. And they want to take responsibility for their part in all of this. That's who I'm talking to. Everyone else can go to hell. And I'm not being mean, but I can't save everybody. Okay? You can't save everybody. And so I just, so there you go. There's my passionate speech for the day. But, last night was it was a great example of energy transfer. My husband came home. His energy transferred to my dog. I absorbed his energy, and it probably, it made me cough this morning. I released a bunch of stuff. I emptied my bowels this morning. I blew my nose this morning. And it was just like that. My dog, she felt his energy, and that's when she was going around and doing a bunch of stuff and acting like, holy shit, like she was possessed. and then finally fell over like, okay, she released those demons, and now she's sleeping. Because right now she would have been up if my husband hadn't come home. And my husband feels kind of bad. He's like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, honey, you're just influential. So that's what I'm saying. When you're influential, know your influence. Don't abuse your influence. But people do. They take their power, their energy, and they abuse it. And you'll know who they are because they're going to try to take over. They're going to be relentless in trying to take over in whatever you're doing or sell you something that you don't need. That it's only going to line their pockets if you buy it. And that's the world that we live in this capitalist / communist market. Okay? So, whoa, that was a lot of release. So, okay, so let me read this. So all diseases are the body fighting off the evil invading spirits, or the body finally succumbing to the evil spirits. But if the evil spirit cannot possess you and take your life and live it, okay, the evil spirit destroys what it cannot have. And that's why people die, because they did not give their body to that evil spirit. They didn't allow that evil spirit to come in, and they share the body, and they're like, hey, what's that personality? Hey, what's that personality? And have like a second head, So you're not going to Andromeda or heaven or Sirius or Pleiades when you do your final energy transfer. You will once again fight for that life that you either earn, fetus, or try to take as an adult, body, child, body, by destroying someone else called cancer. And that's what all the influencers out there who are going and sacrificing humans, like through the virtual community. The cancel culture is all about trying to take people's lives. That's what everyone was doing to me when they were going after me, is they were trying to take my energy, my influence, and suck the life out of it and turn it into something that they could use and take over and not earn. But they were riding on the coattails of the Jilly Juice world. And you saw what happened with the Dr. Phil. Everyone there was using Jilly Juice as their platform for whatever it is, so they can go and try to take over the Jilly Juice way. Okay? And so then they're trying to destroy me in some way. And some can be nice about it, some can be mean about it. But that's what I'm saying, is that you're always going to be fighting for your autonomy, your idea, your very individual person. Okay? So you're not going to Andromeda or heaven or Sirius or Pleiades when you do your final energy transfer. You will once again fight for your life, fight for a life that you either earn, a fetus, or try to take an adult body, child body, by destroying someone else called cancer. If you have closed your system off and not merged with all the spirits and released retained aspects by coughing, blowing your nose, emptying your bowels, and feeling every single variant in your environment when you go into the public, the spirits you pick up in the public in your closed system will cannibalize you if you do not experience cancer disease initially. And that snare is meant for my JJ people, because the people in my JJ world, they're still doing the J juice, doing the waterfalls when they feel something, and they're cured, yeah, and they might look cute for a minute, but they will break down. Because again, a body in a cured state, in a dynamic environment, in a closed system, that's why cures are deadly. Cures are only meant for the FDA, for biotech, for the medical holistic system, because they close your system off relative to your intention. And so anyway, so I have my JJ people who are still basically doing that. Maybe they won't get cancer, maybe they won't get disease or chronic illness, but they won't wake up one day because they have been so atrophied and not feel anything. They're not hungry. They don't feel any kind of mucus from any of their environment. They're holding stuff in. They're holding those little buggers in, and it's cannibalizing them. And so, yeah, they're just going to be like, oh, yeah, everything's great, everything's wonderful. Look at how pretty I am. Look how beautiful I am. Or look at my makeup. And then they don't wake up. They won't get the luxury of cancer, disease, and chronic illness. That right there is an indicator. That is a stay of execution when you get cancer. Now it tells you, okay, now you have something inside your body that you need to fight off, and now you need to change your ways. Not use freaking antibiotics and therapies, more fucking therapies to go cause more mucus to add another freaking entity in your body, which is going on right now. Okay, with all the pills, power supplements, and detoxes, and all the therapies in immunology, they're developing mucus. Because what do you have to do to fight off something that you don't want to take over, like the COVID? You have to develop mucus proteins to do that. And that makes the COVID stronger because people are not releasing that agglutinates. And you saw the 5 aspects of agglutination, right? That basically builds another person that will destroy you from the inside. I didn't even know there was 5 aspects of agglutination. Holy crap. Let's read that for real quick. Because I was doing hella research last night. Okay? And yeah, build a human in a lab, in another human, in nature. So when mucus in the body left unchecked, a new entity is developing from the agglutination process. What are the 5 types of agglutination? So various methods of agglutination are used in diagnostic immunology, and these include latex agglutination, flocculation test, direct bacterial agglutination, and hemagglutination. So when you're getting an immunological thing and you're trying to have something fight off something, whatever, you can't fight something that you can't even release on your own. So when you can't even release on your own and you're taking therapies against something, it's like taking a building, seal off all the entrances and exits, and put the Democrats and Republicans, let them fight to the death, but they don't want to kill each other off because they have to live. So they end up finally merging together because, yeah, they'll fight for a minute, but they're like, wow, there's only now 20 of us left. Either we fight it out and kill each other and be extinct, or we have to go and find a way to work together. Okay? That's what happens. And so then whatever it is you're fighting against, like the COVID-19 in a closed system in your body, turns into the fucking COVID-19 that's going to take over your body. So then what did you just do? You just made the damn thing stronger. That's what the therapies do, is they make whatever you're fighting against stronger and more organized. That's what you're not being told in the therapies world. Oh, but no, it's too much fucking money going and investing in all these different therapies and in immunology, whatever. So, anyways, the latex agglutination is a test done in a lab to check for certain antibodies or antigen in body fluids, including saliva, urine, cerebrospinal fluid, or blood. So it checks for antibodies or antigens. So they're going and separating the proteins. And of course, they're purifying it too. They're taking all the samples from the population, right? Now they have all your defense systems and your DNA attached to that specific algorithm. And then this flocculation is a process by which a chemical coagulant added to the water acts to facilitate bonding between particles, creating larger aggregate which are easier to separate. See, now you're going to become a lab scientist just by virtual. All you now need is a lab, you know. If you learn this shit like this, all you need is a lab and people samples. Direct bacterial agglutination used when whole pathogens are as a source of antigen. It measures the antibody level produced by a host infected with that pathogen. The binding of antibodies to surface antigens on the bacteria results in visible clumps. And that's where all the blood types come from. It's surface marker antigen. That's why those who are blood type A and B will have a harder time in this environment, because they have already so much T cells and B cells, memories, that are causing so much the mucus, so much stuff, that they are very fertile. And so when they're that fertile with that much mucus and they get something else that goes and inseminates them, it's going to cause more growth. So again, direct bacterial agglutination uses whole pathogens as a source of antigen. So it's taking the COVID-19 from the population, purified, and it measures that antibody level produced by the host infected with that pathogen. So then it goes and finds all the antibodies. The binding of antibodies to surface antigens on the bacteria results in visible clumps. So antibodies aren't necessarily deadly per se. Like when you think about it, antibodies are something that wants to take over something that already exists. Antibody doesn't mean death. It means that it's trying to, it means death to that previous spirit, and this now new spirit wants to come in and take over. That's what antibodies are. Every antibody that you release from your body, it's deadly to someone who is weak, but it'll make someone who is strong stronger. So as long as they keep up the order of the energy. So antibodies weren't necessarily what I thought they were, but they are in a sense, in a spiritual sense, when one spirit is trying to take over another spirit. So what do you mean by hemagglutination? Hemagglutination is a reaction that causes clumping of red blood cells in presence of some enveloped viruses, such as the influenza virus or the COVID, a glycoprotein on the viral surface, namely hemagglutinin, interacts with red blood cells, leading to the clumping of the red blood cells and the formation of a lattice. Okay? And so this is what goes on in all the immunological labs. This is what people invest in creating therapies against something, but essentially it makes them stronger because people have mostly closed systems. And even, that's what I'm saying, those those that don't feel anything from these different V's, because they're already atrophied, they're not very fertile, and they're very cured, and so it's just, it's not going to affect them until they go into a large group of people, and then it activates, and then they start, what do you call it? Feeling stuff, or they die. And so when someone who is relatively, who's young and relatively healthy, when they get something, they'll feel it. They'll feel stuff. There'll be stuff happening. And so, anyways, I'm just tripping on everything right now. And so, so that, my friends, is the world that you live in. Let me just pick up where I left off. Everybody wants to possess and take over whenever possible. It happens at the mucous microbial level, even at the virtual level. Look at all the people that are trying to either friend request you or send you messages or invite you into groups or just whatever, okay? So if you are that influential in body, mind, and spirit, leave relationships that you or the other person is relentless in trying to control, take over, or etc. Respect autonomy. Respect your power and do not abuse it. And I know how influential I am, and I have been with people that I worked with, and that's why I had to break up with almost everyone that I worked with, whether it was on the Dr. Phil show and everyone on there, or people that I was working next to during my climb to this. But they now have the information, so it was a quid pro quo. I gave them a lot of my time and my support. They did too, help me with certain things, and now they have the access to this power. They have access to this if they're willing to do it. But I know how influential I am, and I know the high expectations that I have for people and for myself, and that is like cannibalizing somebody else when I'm trying to control them, how they do this and how they evolve, and everyone has to do it at their own level. But do I have the patience to work with someone who is just still either maybe doing it or maybe not, maybe we'll stop at a certain point? No, I don't want to live on what ifs. But they're your friends. What are friends? Friends are people that you either are in a symbiotic relationship, or there's someone that you're in a symbiotic relationship with. And if they need you more than you need them, or it's just, you have an expectation because of certain capacities, then, the people on my Facebook who understand this and then give me feedback on stuff, and I give them feedback and support, those are my friends. People in my world here that I interact with, that I have a symbiotic relationship, those are my friends. My husband's my friend. Anyone outside of this house is my husband's friend, and I will respect them because they're my husband's friend. Okay? Friends don't have to be people that you see, that you have to see. He works in an office or in a company that he is also friends with the people that he's employed with. Okay? I don't work anywhere except for my house. So guess who I'm friends with? My friends on Facebook. Just like my job. My dog is my friend. Okay? So it helps me then not take over people, because they can't take over me and commandeer my time, and I'm not taking over them, and I'm not trying, and so yeah, what are friends? Or someone that you do shit with because you have hobbies, or you're all need to be distracted together, or you're working on a project together. And if you don't need them for their project and you want them for something else and they don't want to do that, then, then that's, you have to define what you see as a friend. And if that, I don't know, everyone has their version of what a friend is, and that's fine. Okay, so I know I'm very influential, so if I have the friends next to me, I'm going to take over. I want to save them. That's who I am. I want to save them. So I can't have friends that are next to me. That's my husband. And the reason why I would save him is so that way he can stay around for himself And he's someone that I'm comfortable with. But also, you know, he has to deal with his shit, literally. So anyways, that's it I have right now. That's all I have. But I needed to get that out because, you know, I'm just tripping on the world that we live in. Politics, religion, and science. I am so tripping on all those three areas. And so now you guys have a choice. Now you know the world that you live in. Now you know what, and now maybe you realize the Bible isn't like, the Bible is okay. I get why people read it. I'm sure everything is based upon stories of people. But when you think about the Bible, religion, and all that stuff, that's just explaining physics. Okay? Can you people in the Bible who are all religious explain physics without turning to scripture? Because when you understand order versus chaos, then you know how words can subvert the actual meaning. And when someone says, oh, you don't really die, you just go off to another realm. No, you fight to the death on this earth, and you fight to stay alive. And you fight to get into a body or into a being when you're dead. It's not like you're gonna go off and sit with the animals and pet them and all the shit that people talk about. You're fighting to stay alive on this earth, and you're fighting to try to get back into a body on this earth. Okay, that's it. When that's it, and it's not linear. There's no Genesis, and there's no, I mean, yeah, Genesis relative to one ending, to one beginning. What happened before Genesis? Oh wait, it was nothing, right? God created. Where did God come from, right? No, Genesis is just a one dot in a huge timeline that you didn't know before, and you were only given what's after. But you can develop your future and your present. Okay? So then the Bible becomes defunct. And the word God is like Pavlov's dogs. You just train people into thinking a certain way, into being a certain way. And that's a hard pill to swallow in the politics, religion, and science world. All right, bye.